Buenos días a todos. Quiero darles la bienvenida, agradecerles por acompañarnos en este evento. Mi nombre es Alejandra Zapata y hago parte del equipo de Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales de Colfuturo. Hoy nos acompaña Cynthia y Shailene, quienes son representantes de Duke University Nicholas School of the Environment. Nos estarán brindando información en esta sesión acerca de la oferta académica que tienen disponible, cómo pueden iniciar todos ustedes su proceso de postulación y algunas opciones de financiación. Adicionalmente, nos estarán hablando un poco del convenio que tienen actualmente con Colfuturo, el cual otorga una beca de mínimo $6,000 para 10 beneficiarios de Colfuturo en los programas de maestría de la escuela. A lo largo de la historia, Colfuturo ha beneficiado a más de 78 personas con este descuento. Al final vamos a tener un espacio de preguntas y respuestas, entonces si a lo largo de la presentación tienen alguna duda, inquietud, la pueden ir escribiendo en el chat que al final les van a dar respuestas. Thank you so much, Cynthia and Shailene, for your time, for your interest to present the institution. So, Shailene, you can start.
Great. Thank you so much, Alejandra, and everyone for joining us. It's really our pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Shalini. I am the Director of Admission here at Nicholas School of the Environment at Duke University. And I am also privileged to be joined with my colleague today, Cindy Peters. And our plan for today is we are going to give you kind of a brief overview of the Nicholas School, our programs, application and financial process. I will kick things off with just an overview of the first half of that, admissions and brief program overview. And I will share a few slides and then I'll turn it over to my colleague. We'll make sure to leave most of the time though for questions and answers. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen here. Can y'all see that? Good, awesome. Excellent. So again, welcome to the Nicholas School at Duke University. We are delighted to be with you all. I know that some of you might be, maybe you've visited North Carolina, maybe you haven't, but we are located here in beautiful Durham, North Carolina. This is actually where you can see it's a beautiful fall day behind me. This is my office and my window here. And North Carolina is a fairly big state in the United States. It is located right on the southern coast. And the location, I think, is one of the best things about going to Duke and the Nicholas School. We are just a few hours away, in one direction from the water, from the coast, in another direction, right to the mountains. So lots of options here in terms of recreation and just kind of getting out and exploring. So, and then Duke University is located in Durham, which is a city in North Carolina, and Duke is what I would say a medium-sized university in the United States. So we enroll about 15,000 students total. About 6,000 of those students are undergraduate college students, and about 9,000 are graduate students, graduate and professional students. And so Duke itself has 10 different schools and colleges. The Nicholas School of the Environment is one of those 10 different schools. Okay, so a little bit more about that later on. But the Nicholas School, I would say, is also on the smaller side in terms of Duke schools. We enroll a little over 600 students total, and that includes undergraduates, master students, and PhD students. Now, of those 600-ish students, a little over half of them are master students. And so this talk today, our talk today, will focus primarily on our master's students. And we certainly have other programs at Duke, and if you're interested in those, you're more than welcome still to reach out, and I can put you in touch with the right person. But today we'll be focusing on our master's programs. Another just kind of note on the, maybe you heard 600 students, and maybe that feels a little small. And what I want to share with you is what I hear from our students too, is that it's kind of a nice balance because we have this close-knit community here at the Nicholas School, and we have that in the context of a much larger research university, right? So you have this small community, but you don't have to give up having the resources, the reach, the reputation of a premier research university in the United States, Duke. And so you really kind of get the best of both worlds there. So the master's programs can be divided up into two main kinds of programs here at the Nicholas School. The first one is a Master of Environmental Management. And there's two versions of the MEM, but just for simplicity, we'll talk about our on-campus Master of Environmental Management, which you'll see on the left side of the screen there. Our Master of Environmental Management is a 2-year degree, and it is divided up into 7 different, what we call program areas. Another way to think about them is just kind of like concentrations, and they're listed there. You'll see them underneath that degree there. The idea behind the program areas is that you choose one of these areas by the time you apply to let us know where you want to focus, right? So all of our students study environmental issues, right? All of them study issues of climate change and sustainability and environmental justice. I mean, all of these really pressing questions and problems in the world today, but they each do it through a slightly different lens. And that's what these program areas are designed to let you do, to kind of choose whether your interest is more in business or whether it's more in energy, and to kind of use that lens to approach the study of the environment that way. Okay. Just because you are, and these program areas are also very interdisciplinary. So even if you decide to declare, business and environment, you absolutely can take classes in water resources. You absolutely can take classes in ecotoxicology and environmental health, and vice versa, right? The program areas are designed to provide students with broad training and broad exposure across environmental studies. Okay. And then the Master of Forestry is a really neat program here at the Nicholas School. And actually, if I went outside my office, I could throw a stone and hit the Duke Forest. It is right adjacent to our campus here in Durham. It is 7,000 acres of privately managed forest land. And it has one cool thing about it. It's been open even during the pandemic. And so, obviously distancing and so forth, but it's been open, which has been wonderful for our students to, not have to stop their research or to just get out and, do hiking, biking, whatever it might be out in the forest. So just a really, really neat resource there. I'm going to briefly drill down a little bit into our on-campus programming. So as I mentioned, the Master of Environmental Management degree is a 2-year program. If you're doing it on campus, you are based here in Durham. Our coastal students, our students who are studying kind of coastal management, coastal ecology, they will spend their first year in Durham with the rest of the MEM cohort, and then actually the second year over in Beaufort, North Carolina, which is, if you haven't been, it's beautiful. It's it's on the coastline. It's a self-sustaining community. So all of our coastal students, they study there, they take their meals, they live there, and they really work together on building a close community there while studying really important issues of coastal erosion and climate change and so forth. I'll mention very briefly our hybrid program, which is our Duke Environmental Leadership MEM. And the idea behind the Duke Environmental Leadership Program is that it is designed for working mid-career working professionals. So this is really for applicants who have at least 5 years of post-undergraduate work experience in an environmentally related field. So it's a management degree, meaning it's different from a research degree. It is different from, even a policy degree. You're going to have components of that in the environmental management program. All right, you'll have exposure to policy, you'll have exposure to research, but those aren't the drivers of the degree. Really, what it's designed to do is to provide our students with the foundation and the training to have careers in environmental leadership and environmental management, right? So working with policymakers in government, or working to lead environmental initiatives in the private sector. If you're interested in a career in the environment or work in the environment, my first question to you will be, what kind of work? Right? If you're interested in running your own research lab, then I would invite you to have a conversation maybe more on our PhD side, and I can set that up for you. Just reach out. But if you were to talk to me a little bit more about, if you were to tell me a little bit more about, Shalini, what I want to do is, find a career leading sustainability efforts at this company I really care about. Then I would say, hey, let's talk about the Master of Environmental Management. Let's talk about our business environment track and the kinds of ways we can support you there. So I bring that up because whatever stage you might be in your own graduate school search, I think having a good sense of, kind of where, not just what we offer, but where you want to end up will kind of help you decide what you want to do. Okay. I'm going to move through these kind of quickly. You saw some of these before. These are the various program areas that we offer through our MEM degree. But the reason I want to mention them for a moment is because is to talk about one of our requirements, our academic requirements. All of these areas ask that students have at least one semester of college level calculus and one semester of college level statistics before you apply. Okay, so one of the best pieces of advice I can give you right now is, especially if you're currently taking classes, is to really make sure you've got those requirements met. And truly, anything you take on top of that, any kind of quantitative or scientific class you take on top of that, will just help with your preparation. I'm going to touch on these very briefly too. These are our various application components. And oh, you know what? This is hot off the presses here. So we actually know number 5 does not apply anymore. We no longer have an application fee, and we're very excited about that. So it does not cost anything to apply this year to the Nicholas School of the Environment. But this is all, by the way, this is all available on our website. You see the link up there, which you can go to and check out any of these things here. Okay. Finally, I want to touch on our deadlines. We do we have 2 application deadlines. The first deadline coming up is our priority application deadline, which is December 15th. And our regular, if you just, ideally we welcome you to apply by then, but if you need more time, we don't want you to, stress out or rush or anything. Our second application deadline is January 15th, 2022. And my colleague Cindy will talk a little bit more about financial aid, but that deadline for need-based financial aid is February 18th, 2022. Now, there's some flexibility with the admission deadlines, right? If you miss it by a day or two, reach out to us, we can work with you. That is not the case on the financial aid side. So please, of all of these deadlines, the one to really, kind of circle in red and make sure you meet is that need-based financial aid deadline of February 18th. And finally, just stay in touch with us, reach out to us. This is a way to get in touch. This is our email address there, as well as, you can follow us on some of our social accounts as well. We always kind of share things that are happening at the school, things our students are doing, our alumni are doing. And so we hope we'll hear from you. But for now, I am going to stop talking and turn it over to my wonderful colleague, Cindy Peters here.
Thank you so much. And now, Cynthia, you can continue.
So with regard to financial aid, the school has, well, first of all, every student coming in has to have some other form of financial aid support than anything that the school might be able to offer. And so that's why having support from Col Futuro is such a great benefit for you. Because they provide a lot of support. I apologize, I ran over here. It's okay for now. So the Col Futuro is a great opportunity to provide you with financial aid because of the limits that the school has on how much it can provide. We look at what we call the overall cost of attendance, or COA, and that includes your what I call fixed expenses, which are your tuition and your fees, and then your flexible expenses, which are your living expenses, your housing, your transportation, your food, that sort of thing. So what the school does is when you submit your application for admission, first of all, the school makes a decision about whether or not to admit you. If you're going to be admitted, then you'll be notified of your admission. Then the school will look at your application for admission and make a decision about merit-based aid. And then that merit-based aid will be offered to you, usually within a few weeks of you hearing about your admissions. Now, we do offer, in addition to merit-based aid, we offer need-based aid. There is a separate application process for that, and that's that February 18th deadline that Shalini mentioned. So you'll need to go up to our website, to the admissions drop down, and then to the financial aid and support tab, and there will be specific directions on applying for a need-based grant from the school. Regardless of whether you do one or the other or both, you're still going to have outside funding. The merit-based aid requires no separate application, but the need-based aid does, and then you're notified of the decision on both of those at the same time. Even if you get awards from both, they're still not going to be enough to cover your overall cost of attendance. So another reason why Colfuturo is such a great thing. I think I will stand. Can we move this?
Yeah, we can.
Hold on for just a second, y'all.
Yeah.
Just in the chair. That's fine.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I usually start here.
Yeah, that's fine. Good. Sorry, y'all. We're just trying to. There we go. I'm an old lady. I get tired of standing, so I apologize. So those are the two forms of financial aid that come from the school. Students are allowed to work during the year on campus. If you are coming into the US on an F1 or J1 visa, J1's a little bit more restrictive, but most of you would come on an F1. And so you're allowed to work during the year on campus if you can find a job. Then you are allowed to work in the summer on an internship using CPT or curricular practical training. And we help you with that, give you advice, get you hooked up to the right people. Excuse me. And what was I going to say? Oh, so then that's for the summer. The key thing to remember, and I say this to every student, domestic or international, this is only a 2-year program. It goes by very, very quickly. It's very intense. It's very work heavy. So a lot of students, well, I want to work, I want to help offset my cost. Well, that's fine. But you have to remember that your primary purpose for being here is to get the degree. So you don't want to get too diverted by trying to find too much outside work because it's going to be limited as to how much you can earn. It's going to be limited how many hours you have. And your primary focus needs to be on your academics so that you actually graduate, hopefully within 2 years. And then you have the skills and the tools you need to go back to your home country or to go work someplace and take all those skills and tools that you've learned and put them to work in a work setting someplace. So I think that's those are probably the main things. There are U.S. students have an opportunity to take advantage of federal loan programs. Those are not options for international students. There are some lenders who do lend to international students. There's at least one that requires a U.S. cosigner. And then there is one lender that does not require a U.S. cosigner. But again, how much money is available is limited. So, working on campus, merit-based aid from the school, need-based aid from the school, personal resources, your own, your family's, Colfuturo, other in-country resources, federal government, your country's federal government, or organizations that support students who want to study abroad for a year or more. Those are all different ways of financing and covering your cost of attendance. The fixed expenses that I talked about, your tuition and your fees, they're non-negotiable. You have to pay them. And any student entering the US on an F1 visa has to purchase Duke's medical insurance plan. This year it's $3,605 for the student. And so that's considered to be part of your budget. And so yes, you have to purchase that. You don't have any choice of substituting something from your own country. So those are all fixed expenses. And then you actually have some control over your cost, your actual cost of attendance, depending on where you choose to live, what kind of amenities you need, how many roommates you want to have. how far away you live. Are you going to be on a line, someplace that's served by a campus bus, which is free? Are you going to have to figure out a way to get to campus? Does that mean you're going to need a car or a bicycle? A lot of our students do bike. There are plenty of apartments nearby so that you could either be on a school bus line, a university bus line, or be close enough to cycle. So those are just some kind of basics about financial aid. I am the financial aid counselor for all of our students, all of our MEM and MF students. Among other things, I'm also your point person. If you're an international student, if you have visa issues after you get here, I'm also the person that you would talk to if you start to get stressed out or you need assistance in some way. This is just, what sort of I do multiple things. It is possible to get Col Futuro aid and Duke's financial aid. What will happen is the Col Futuro award currently, if you are admitted and you're already accepted by Col Futuro and you have documentation to show that, then you would get a $6,000 award from the Nicholas School based on merit. Now, that's the minimum. It's possible, based on your application for admission, that you could be offered more scholarship money from the school. But that would be the minimum. It's very different if you're thinking about coming in on the Dell MEM, because those students continue to work while they're going to school. So the financial aid is structured a little differently. You would typically, if you are a Col Futuro student coming into the Nicholas School, you would get the $6,000. Would you get more? Possibly, but unlikely. So I think I answered that question. Did that work? I'm gonna assume it did. So that's basically what I wanted to say about financial aid. Happy, Shalini and I are both right here. We're happy to take questions. And so we can we'll turn the computer depending on what your question is.
Okay, thank you so much, Cynthia and Shelley.
Sorry about the technology. I don't know what happened. It was working fine earlier.
Yes.
And I've been at the Nicholas School for almost 21 years, and at Duke for a whole lot longer than that. So if you have questions about Duke or the Nicholas School in general, either Shalini and I will be happy to answer it.
Okay. I have one question for all of you. Which recommendation will you give people that are in the process of applying about the time of preparation, about the specific requirements? What advice you can give?
Talking about requirements for admission?
Yes, admission.
Hi there, everybody. Hey there. Yeah. In terms of specific requirements, the slide that I showed you with the different application components, all of that is on our website too, so you don't have to commit it to memory or anything. But the main thing that we want to make sure a couple of things. Number one, that you have the academic preparation that you need to be successful in our programs, which means, as I mentioned, at least a semester of calculus, at least a semester of statistics. Anything beyond that is gravy, and it's good if you can get it, but so academic preparation is first and foremost. Some of the program areas also have specific requirements to them. So many, not all, but many of them will require at least a semester of microeconomics. So for those of you who are thinking about taking some kind of economics class, if you can make that micro, that will set you up well for at least our requirements. Each of the program, as I said, since they each have slightly different requirements, on our website is where you can kind of drill down into what they each might require. And then beyond that, beyond the kind of academic side of the requirements, we also ask that students, we have some written components of our application, including the statement of purpose, or a personal statement, if you will. And this here, I really want to emphasize how helpful a good personal statement is to us, because it helps us kind of see the match between you and your interests and your goals, with what we have to offer. And so my best advice with that is, as you're preparing your letters and your personal statements, to not only talk about, kind of what you found here and the program here, but draw a really clear link between what we offer and what your personal environmental leadership trajectory is, or journey is, what it is you want to get out of that. That's something that's incredibly helpful for our faculty committee and for our reviewers to see. So the more time you can spend on that, really the better. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Tanya says, yes, Cynthia, thank you so much. It is possible that you give us your email for future financial visa questions?
Sure. I'll put it in the chat.
Yes. She says, I'm applying for the MEM program.
There you go. That's my personal email. And I'm happy to take email questions. And, once you get a little bit further along, if you want to set up a Zoom call, we can always do that, a Zoom appointment. I'm fine with meeting either way.
And what is the email for Shailene? Also,
you want to just get
it's important.
No problem. Yeah, I'll also drop it in. This is mine.
And also, if you have specific questions about Confuturo, where is the time to apply, can write me in this email.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have more questions.
That's fine. We're good with that. We're happy to take questions if you have them. If you've never seen pictures of Duke, if you've never been here, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous campus. It's beautiful, lots of trees. In the spring, we have a lot of flowering trees and plants. It's just a really, really gorgeous place to be. And you can look out the window. I'm looking out Shalini's office right now, and it's all green. She has a prettier view than I do. I look out over the parking lot, but I do have windows, so I can't complain. So it's really a lovely, really lovely, pretty campus. And like she said earlier, it's very accessible. It's about 3 hours from the ocean. It's about 3 hours from the mountains. It's about 5 hours from Washington, D.C. by car. It's about 6 hours from Atlanta, Georgia by car. So it's very centrally located. It's kind of rolling. It's not flat, but it's not mountain. So, you have different viewpoints. The campus itself is just beautiful. The buildings are gorgeous. So it's a really, really nice place to spend 2 years. And they're 2 very quick years. So the program goes very quickly.
Okay, thank you so much, Shailene and Cynthia, for your time, for being here and for doing your presentation. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.